Hey, good morning, everyone. It is Sunday morning, Fed League Flash, and Gary Ryan here. All right, so we had 7 games, a full slate of games on the docket last night, and I ventured into the ability to try and watch and focus 4 games. Need some work on that. I've got 3 games down simultaneously playing, but the fourth still need to work on that. But nonetheless, I did catch the majority of 4 games. I caught little bits and pieces of these 2 games. Saw the first period for Port Huron and Blue Ridge, and yeah, Port Huron ends up sweeping on the weekend. Blue Ridge controlled a good amount of this game, but just couldn't put the extra puck home, so to speak. So yeah, we end up in a shootout, and Austin Federley. It's Austin Federley again. He scores the shootout winner. First round there was nothing. Second round nothing. Third round Austin Federley. So he's won both shootout contests that the Prowlers have found themselves in this year. Um, yeah, the Bobcats, they got an early goal from Sava Smirnov, who later ended up getting tossed. Game misconduct. But yeah, the game was tied at 17:37 to the third by Thelstrom. And Port Huron carried that momentum into the shootout and ends up winning. So yeah, they improved to 5-4-1. The Bobcats are now 4-4-2 on the year. Crowd of 1345 on hand at McMorran Place to see the Cats battle. This game, I don't know what to say about Mississippi. Um, Defensively, they played an excellent game, and they still lost. Yeah, Baton Rouge ends up uh, holding on. They were leading by the count of 2-0 for a good portion of the game. Mississippi gets one late from Don Carter Jr., but just wasn't enough. Um, Bailey Stevens stops 42 of 43 shots. It's rare that you see Mississippi generate 43 shots, and they did. They had the majority of puck possession in the game. They greatly outshot the Zydeco on the shot clock board, and again played very well in their own end. Sam Best, played pretty decent, and it just wasn't enough. This team needs to find some offense desperately. The Zydeco, they're riding high. Yes, 7-3-1 now on the season, and sitting in third place. And 6-7 weeks ago, if I had told you the Zydeco would be in third place in mid-November, you would have looked at me and thought I was crazy. But here we are. So yeah, Elijah Wilson, who had a great game on Friday night, also gets the game winner in this game. And yeah, Stevens, he makes the saves he needs to make, and there we go. Good crowd on hand for Mississippi. This was Mississippi's just their second home game, so the fans were really hungry for some hockey. Very good crowd there. But yeah, Baton Rouge now 7-3-1, and Mississippi 1-8-1 on the year. This game, boy, the Dashers. Uh, I feel really bad for both Oscar Waldron and Parker Rutherford. They do what they can, but you got to have some team defense. You got to have somebody in the middle of the defensive zone, clearing out pucks, blocking shots, and that's just not happening for the Dashers at this point. So the Watertown Wolves, of course, they're red hot on the year. They don't see any reason to slow down, and so they pour it on, and it's 11-1. This is after a 9-4 victory on Friday night. So yeah, 2 games, 20 goals surrendered for the Dashers, and what more can you say? You got to play defense. But the Wolves got quite a balanced attack of scoring. They had two from Chwet and Blacksmith, including what was the game winner at just the 3:30 mark of the first period. You had two goals by Trevor Lord. You had a pair of assists from Kyle Heitzner. Brodkin, he stops 32 of 33. It was midway through the third period. Finally, Pazitka got on the board for the Dashers to eliminate the no-no. But yeah, it was all Watertown in this game. 897 happy fans in Big North as the Wolves improved to 9-1-1, keeping pace, with Binghamton, and the Dashers now 1-8-1. They'll go home. Hopefully, they'll be able to find a way of getting some practice time in. It's needed. So yeah, Brodkin 32 of 33, and yeah, Walgren didn't have a good start. Gave up 5 goals in just the 14 plus minutes played. So Parker Rutherford came in again and stopped 24 or 35. So there we go. That's that board. And now here's this board. Okay, so the first donut for the night. Congratulations to Mario Cavallari. He bars the door, and it is a 3-0 home win shutout for the Carolina Thunderbirds over the Monroe Moccasins. And yeah, Monroe, they were able to generate a little bit more offense than they were on Friday night, but it just didn't happen. Sorry, I got some glare here. This says it's Sean Kuhn, who played goaltender for the Moccasins, of course. Had himself a good day, 38 of 40 saves. In 59-41, there was an empty netter at the end by Jan Salak. So yeah, we get in the first period and packed house, a first sellout of the year for the Carolina Thunderbirds. It won't be the last. The fans always show up in droves, especially on Saturday night. Saturday night is a big event for hockey in Winston-Salem. All right, Yuri Pastuka, he gets on the board first at 10:36 the first period. Yeah, it was the check line and Mario that basically wraps up the whole game in a nutshell. But yeah, Pastuka gets on the board in halfway through the first, in which Carolina outshot Monroe 16-7. So it looked like they were carrying the play. I even made a comment on the feed, and it's like it looks like Carolina's carrying the play like they did last night. But the second period came, and Monroe was able to um, generate more chances and free up their F2s and F3s a little bit. Get some support for carrying the puck into the offensive zone. They tried and they tried, but Mario wouldn't crack. Mario just said, "Nope, this is my house." Stopped everything he faced. 16 shots, all turned aside by Cavallari in the second. Carolina managed 9 shots in the second period, but in that period, yeah, lot of rubber going Mario's way, but they didn't get past him. Third period, early in the period, it's a power play opportunity, and Jan Salak scores at 2:27. Um, and there you go. Yeah, that was all that the Thunderbirds would need, but Salak would end up getting an empty netter at 18:25 to make it 3-0. At that point, it was like, oh, yeah, Monroe realized, okay, the game's over. Let's just keep Kuhn back in goal. So, yeah, again, he stops 38 of 40. Jan Salak ends up with 2 goals and an assist. Yuri Pastuka with the first goal and an assist, and Peter Panachik with 2 assists. So, yeah, the Czech line is back. Yep. Rest of the Fed team, Fed teams, make sure you take note because, yep, the Czech line is back. So Mario Cavalieri stops 30 on the night for the shutout. And that's the first of two donuts that happened last night. Um, we've got to be, this season is going to be a record setter for overtime slash shootout games played and for shutouts. Amazing. Um, and then we had a couple of goal games that only one goal surrendered. But anyway, so this game, don't worry, I'm not going to be talking about any of the extracurriculars on this video. There is a separate video coming for that on Facebook Live today, where we're going to be talking about some things. But for the game, it was Nolan Egbert and Connor McCullum. Now, McCullum, he's got to be just scratching his head because McCullum played fantastic this weekend. He surrendered a grand total of 5 goals in 2 games, but he just got peppered, faced over 100 shots. And so when you factor that in, you do the math, 5 goals surrendered, over 100 shots. That's a really good save percentage. This loss is not on Connor McCullum. It was just I'm not sure what has happened to Danbury's offense as of late. One question, and I'll mention it here, that a fan asked, where is Corey Cunningham? He's been missing the last 3 games. Hat tricks need him. All right, so we get into the game, and it's a scoreless first period. Well, we had a goal, but it was overruled. Josh LaBelle scored on a nice wrister from the high slot, so it seemed, but lo and behold, down low, there was contact with Nolan Egbert. He was basically, when the referees looked at the tape, they said, yeah, he wouldn't have been able to make the save. He was impeded. No goal due to goalie interference. And that is the first time this year, I believe, in the Fed that we have had a challenge raised by one of the coaches on a goal, and that it's overturned because initially it was ruled a goal. But so that that was the initial call on the ice. But then when they looked at it, they said, yeah, definitely goaltender interference. So we go to the second period after an action-packed first period. Shots were 18-16 in favor of Danbury. Danbury had a decided edge for quite a while, and then Binghamton ended up getting the last, I believe, was last 6 shots of the first period. And so we get to the second, and Binghamton just puts their foot on the gas and doesn't let go. It's Tyson Kirkby scoring on a power play at 6:06 of the second, and which again that ends up being the game winner, but we didn't know that at the time. The previous 3 games played between these two teams have all been 1-goal games, so the fans are all buckling themselves in for a wild ride, and Binghamton just said, no, we got this. Later in the second, it is Blake Tasso on a beautiful 2-on-1 rush, takes a pass from Gavin Yates, and that's a 16-18. So at the end of 2, it's 2-0 Binghamton. Shots at this point 33-22 in favor of the Black Bears. In the third period, not much going on. A few minor penalties, nothing really to speak of. The teams are battling. It's a tight, hard-fought game, but still a lot of shots being generated. 19-11 in that period in favor of Binghamton in the third period. Finally, we have a melee on the ice and a melee in the stands, which, again, we're not going to talk about here. That's with 3:42 remaining, and so, yeah. No, it was more than that. Was it? Yeah. 3:42, yeah. Immediately, finally, after a long delay, because it took a lot of time to get everything sorted out with penalties and with what happened in the crowd, Binghamton gets right to work, and Dan Stone scores at 16:34 of the third period, and it's 3-0. We get late into the period. McCollum is pulled again. Yeah, you got to feel for the guy because he played great. Um, and it's Cameron Clark getting the empty netter at 1943. It's a 4-0 shutout for the Eggman. Nolan Egbert stopping 33 shots on the night. And so, yeah, there we go. There's our second donut. And it seems like we have at least one shutout every week to talk about. Today we have two. All right. This game, you might not have needed to play the final 40 minutes, with the exception of one person, and that is Ricardo Gonzalez. Another fantastic goalie performance as Rico Suave, as he's known in Motor City. Just makes save after save after save, and high quality saves, by the way. In this game, all the scoring was done in the first 14 and a half minutes, and that was it. As a matter of fact, the Motor City Rockers got both of their goals in 41 seconds. Right off the puck drop, it is Eli Rivers racing in at 12 seconds in. He scores first shot. It's 1-0. The next shift, in which Rivers was still on the ice, TJ Sneath scores at 41 seconds. And so there you go. It's 2-0. The Hudson Valley buckled down. They shored up their defensive game. Eli Bowers made the saves he needed to make from this point out. But the only thing that got by Ricardo Gonzalez was Mantis Noriega at 14:21. That was on the power play. I made it 2-1 at the time, and that's literally all we saw. Shots were 19-9 in favor of Hudson Valley in the first, tied up at 11 each in the second, and then the third. Hudson Valley just dominated the play, and Gonzalez just made fantastic save after fantastic save. I thought Jim Cerny was going to lose his voice just from the amount of times he was going, "What a save by Gonzalez!" It was a performance, just incredible. And so Motor City ends up snapping their long losing streak. They win 2-1, holding off the Venom. The Venom fall to 4-4-1. They got 42 shots on Gonzalez, and I would dare say 30 of those out of 42 were grade A chances. I mean, this was how good Gonzalez was in this game. Meanwhile, Motor City got 30 shots on goal for the game, and they improved to 3-7-0, and the Hudson Valley Venom fall to 4-4-1. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the records up here, but yeah, you see them. That's why they're written there. All right, so the final game, and this was the game of the week. I called this the game of the week when I was doing my previews. My pick didn't go right, but what an entertaining game. This was back and forth, two heavyweights, trading uppercuts. It was just incredible game. But yeah, Athens ends up on top. So yeah, and in a shootout as well. So here's a second shootout of the night. The night started off well for the Columbus River Dragons. They scored at 10:26. Justin Samaro, excuse me. He ended up getting a goal just as a penalty expired for the Rock Lobster. So it was an even strength goal, not a power play goal. But you can tell the intensity was going to be there throughout the game as nothing major really happened, but pleasantries were exchanged just like 8.5 minutes in. All the players got together and did some jawing, a couple little shoves, and then everybody went on their merry way. But nonetheless, that kind of set the tone for the game. Shots in the first period were Columbus 13, Athens 6. Athens felt like it looked like they were just trying to get their game going, get the rust off, so to speak. Second period, it's Cody Wickline scoring on a 3-on-2 break. and that's a 355, excuse me, of the second period. So it's 2-0 Columbus, but then Athens scores, and as often happens, they score in bunches. Cason Gallant scores at 5:05. We haven't said his name for a couple weeks, but yep, he's back. And then at 6:49, Philippe Virgili gets the first of his two goals, excuse me. 9:03. It's Virgili again on the power play. So now he's on power play watch, or on hat trick watch, excuse me. And it's 3-2 Athens. Columbus ends up fighting back. Ryan Galvin gets on the board, rare goal from him, but good support scoring. 11:02 the time of that goal. So, there was kind of things got a little loosey goosey with offense, or a lack of defense, maybe. Not lack of defense, but just good offensive opportunities. Both teams generated several quality shots. So both goaltenders had to be, uh, on top of their game. So, okay, we get to the end of the second. At this point, it is tied up at 3. And shots at this point are 23 for Columbus, 13 for Athens. But, Athens only 13 shots, and they had 3 goals. So they're feeling pretty good about themselves. I'm sure they'll take that any day. In the third, it's Garrett Milan scoring at 4:40. And that puts Athens up briefly. And then William Lavalier just cranked up his game, and he started doing his best Rico Suave imitation, turning aside shot after shot, quality shots, just huge saves. He steals away a potential hat trick from Virgili with a big glove snare, little windmill action there. So this game is really wrapping up. The crowd is really getting into it, and finally, they got what they were looking for: a goal from Justin McDonald. Yep, J-Mac with his first of the year at 9:13 on a 4-on-3 opportunity, and now it's tied up at 4. And now the crowd is just the noise level went from like here most of the game until that point, and then all of a sudden place got loud and excited. 17-10, Cody Wickline scores, and it looks like Columbus might be able to pull this out, but nope. Jack Bostek gets pulled for the extra attacker, and with just 5 seconds left, it's Cason Gallant scoring again, and he ties things up, and wow, the noise just fell at that point. Yeah, but we ended up with a very exciting overtime period. Nobody could score, but nonetheless, the fans were on their feet. And then we get to the overtime, and you have no. And Carter Shinkarik doing Carter Shinkarik things. He scores the game-winning shootout goal in the 4th round, and the River Dragons couldn't counter. So yeah, Jack Bostet made the save, not Josh Rosenvig. Here we go again with the messed up stats. This league does such a terrible job. I'm sorry, but they do such a terrible job covering stats with goalies. And as a former goalie myself, that irks me to no end. So no, at the end of the 3rd round, the teams did not trade out for Sammy Bernard and Josh Rosenzweig. It was still William Lavalier and Jack Bostet in goal. So, league, FPHL, fix that, please. All right, so, yeah, Bostet gets the win, saves 25 of 30 during the course of the game. Of course, so does William Lavalier. But yeah, he gets that shootout loss. So yeah, Athens now 9-1, cruising along in the Continental, and this is the first loss for the Columbus River Dragons, 6-0-1, and yeah, doubled the amount of goals that they've surrendered in one game. Yeah, that's how good Athens is. But again, as we saw in the course of the game, that's how good Columbus is too. So these teams play each other 11 more times, and I can't wait to see them. A lot of them are Thursday night matchups or Wednesday night matchups or Thursday night matchups. So I'll be able to devote my full attention to that game. So it'll be fun to see. 3805 on hand for that game. So there we go. That is the wrap up of all the games. Like I said, later on this afternoon, I will be having a Facebook Live video in which we're going to be talking about the extracurriculars that went on in Danbury, the things that were not on the ice that should not have been. And not picking on Danbury, but it does raise some issues. And one we're going to also talk about on Tuesday, the Fed League Flash on the Flash Audio Network. So make sure to tune into that as well. All right, thanks for watching. Thank you for your support. I'm Gary Ryan for the Fed League Flash. Have a great week ahead.